Okay, hi, this is Danny Molick, aka Fitzroy Westfeather, amongst other uh shtick names or whatever, spiels. Uh Fitzroy Weather wrote this. Danny Molick, donation to the Queen. This is the where we last left off. It's summer. It's still summer and recording this. It's just we're doing a Labor Day reading of this because I have a cuckoo clock on the back of this, and this is the reason why I wrote this. I Ching cuckoo clock. We'll talk about that on Truth and Reconciliation Day on September 29th. Remember the residential schools. Because this is a story with natives in it, and I'm doing cultural appropriation now, so it's no longer considered kosher in Canada and the United States to do stuff like that, write on behalf of another culture, or do our on behalf of another culture representation. We're gonna see if I did anything wrong. I don't think I did, but it's driving everyone cuckoo. I know it does. Here we go. So where we last left off, Boss Nasty and the East Side Kids had a kerfuffle with Obama, Robbie Robertson from the band, Mark Twain and Nikola Tesla, and he got shit on. Boss Nasty, Mayor of Tammany Hall, Tweed. Here, I'm just going to read this now. The American ambassador reports that it would still be a while before the angry clock owners came to smash the clock, so they decided to stop for drinks at Lakeside Park. Lakeside Park is Port Dalhousie. Port Dalhousie is called in St. Catharines, not Dalhousie, but it's spelled like that. Housie. It's where Neil Peart was from. Rush started off. Neil Peart's the drummer from Rush. Started off in St. Catharines. Rush did at Laura Secord Secondary. There's a video, you can look it up. It's crazy. Yeah, Laura Secord Secondary. They filmed a live concert by Rush for teenagers. What they did, punk allowed Rush to do what they couldn't otherwise. The whole punk movement. American ambassador reports this to be well for the angry clock in the smash clocks. It says Robert drinks at Lakeside Park, which at its mouth of the Welland Canal on the Ontario side. There's plenty of bars and beaches and swimming places and drinking and almost drowning, getting swashbuckly while drunk and police arresting people. So this was a happy place, and a vile, villainous, heinous, sublime crimes were committed against innocent. A terrible scar remains. Only one man stood up for protecting the innocence of this Queen Port. Why I have to deal with the dark stuff? I'm gonna deal with the good stuff with the story. You can't butter everything up, but there was teenagers were killed, went missing and killed in GTA, Greater Toronto Area, Niagara, rapist, Scarborough rapist, Paul Bernardo and Carla Homolka were some sort of lizard people. It's really creepy, Wendigos, if you will. Natives just butchering people and raping them and stuff like that. It's gross. Anyways, I had Neil Peart. He's already posthumous, rest in peace, but I don't think he would ever agree to this. Maybe he would, but it's a lot to chew on for something that's so touchy in our hometown. It's really creepy. Really creepy. Peart brothers were familiar with the pub scene, were interested and finding something for a bit more classy. It was a man busking a swallowing strip with nothing but a snare drum and 2 drumsticks. A very nice man. Hey, why so glum, chum? I've seen drummers, Neil Peart. I've seen the world. I did it all, and now I'm looking for a new rush. Hey, man, I saw some bulrushes over there by the lake. You want me to bring them to you? No, thanks. It's not what I meant. Are you sure? They're right over there. You know you'll know for sure in 30 seconds. Then you can let me know if it's what you meant. Dino, Sammy, stop beating around the bush. Joey, Petey, get a bunch of those bulrushes. Sammy, keep arguing about that stupid bull rush until he brings him here so he doesn't lose his train of thought. Frank, you act like he's serious and pissed off like you do all the time. I'm trying, Dino. That's why I'm taking acting lessons. So Joey and Petey brought the serious drummer a bouquet of bulrushes. So, buddy, what's your name, buddy? Neil. Neil, buddy. Tell me, what's your need? Was your need for a rush satisfied? I don't know. Try playing around with that. I'm not trying to get you to do something fruity. It's quite the opposite, actually. Well, what do you mean? Try attacking the problem from right angles. Strategize. Neil thought about what Dean had told him with the bull, stared at the bulrush. What did Dean mean? He looked at a big blade of grass, a hot dog on it. Neil tapped the bulrush's hot dog from the side. It was soft. He pulled a piece out. It came out like stuffing. He pulled it again. The bulrush was falling apart. He tore at it again and again until he completely destroyed the bulrush. Wow, what a rush! Neil began beating the bulrushes with precision mania on his snare. Whoa, wait a second, Neil. You should have stated the solution without the word attack. Maybe I said approach. Sorry, I was just trying to get your mind going. Oh, yeah, I guess you're right. Well, I know it's just a bulrush. Oh, sure, Neil, it's good to have a hobby. Just tone it down a bit. It's really just a bulrush. Oh, yeah, I know you're right, Dino. No worries. Thanks, Dino. Don't mention it. Oh, by the way, Dino, you have a leathery suntan all year round. Makes your face look like an old baseball glove. Thanks for the poignant potables, Neil. My psychiatrist told me exactly the same thing. Thanks. You're welcome. Say, Dino, your outfit looks really slick. Maybe we can jam sometime. As a matter of fact, Neil, we're jamming tomorrow night at high noon if you want to join us. Sure, just let me grab my snare drum and my bulrushes. So overall, it was a really great night at Lakeside Park. Well, a couple of people got drunk and almost drowned. Somebody got arrested for swashbuckling, and mysteriously one night in the distance, a vile fiend who mostly defiled the innocence of this port was crooned at the window side of prison cell remaining relentlessly by a man menacingly playing drums and bulrush. Another man who was unyielding, wailing voices shrieked deprecational lyrics of shame and repentance for the criminal's deranged sins, and he begged them to stop. They told the criminals a chart topper, and everyone else wanted them to keep performing. Everyone made it back to the tall ship, fell asleep in the cell. So when they woke up the next morning, it'd be funny. Next morning they would be in Shipman's Corner. You should have, no one should see the first draft. The people who saw the first draft were like a librarian and my boss. What I wrote happens to Paul Bernardo in this. It was bad. It was bad. I can't be a judge on those people. It has to be done with respect still. I was not the judge. They were already judged. And they're probably replacement method actors in prison, because pedophiles don't last 6 months in prison. A-Bomb said that. They either get their back broken or they're killed. So Carla Homolka is just an actress, and Paul Bernardo is an actor, and they are already criminals with lesser charges. That's what I really believe. I'm sorry, it's just lizard people. They don't let those people exist once they're caught. Cut to Shipman's Corner. Laura had woken up as soon as a tall ship in Shipman's Corner Laura had woken up as soon as the tall ship docked in Shipman's Corner, since she slept right through it all, partying revelry, and 'twas fine with her. As soon as they let down the gangplank, she ran it still with her provisions and her cuckoo clock. And who was standing there waiting for her? Her best friend, Catherine. The biggest, warmest hugs and the longest, happiest breaths. And the tears, they shared their tears. I missed you, Laura. I miss you too, Catherine. It's only been 2.5 days. It felt like an eternity. Same here. The two quickly rushed to Missy Harriet's chocolate shop. Missy was busy as ever. Missy Harriet, my child, my sweet, strong child, you're back. Tell me, did you get the cuckoo clock? Carry the cuckoo clock the whole time? Yes, Miss Harriet. Tell me, did you make to the Birds Brothers show? Yes, Miss Harriet, Missy Harriet. Holy shit, that was edited out. The whole scene was edited out. Or it got missing. It's missing in here. She didn't get on the chocolates. She did not give the birds brother the chocolates. For some reason, edited out there. But she's like, you did not give the birds brothers and boys brothers my chocolates for all my slaving and saving and working and toiling and sweating and starving. Dear Lord, I don't even know my own child. I'm sorry, Missy Harriet. Don't you missy me. Stand firm and stand hard, child. I gonna miss it, Miss Laura, the cuckoo bargers are getting closer to Welland Canal. We've got to leave immediately. The Lord's grace has spared you this time, child. We're gonna think and pray real hard about what you didn't do. I'm sorry. I forgive you, child. Now hurry up, girls. We gotta get these chocolates, those broken cuckoo and those cuckoo clocks. I got Gerhard Glockenspielski to get ready. Down the canal and away from the town a little ways. Now, Laura, how did you get here again? Tell me, Oh, this is punched the wrong way. Let's see, 57, 56. I already read that. Cut the tall ship. I read that scene, yeah. It's backwards. You can read that on your pause it and read it. So off they went. Everyone's in the big boat, up the locks, up the escarpment, close to Lake Erie as they can make it. Again, Laura still had her private room, though she shared with her best friend, Catherine. Everything was happening so fast they didn't have time to tell each other about their individual adventures. It was unbelievable enough just to stare at the porthole of the tall ship and the canal meandering around the natural rivers and hand-dug connections that made the canal what it was. Before the canals were built, there was no way to access Upper Great Lakes because Niagara Falls, or as the French explorers called it, Les Beaux Fleuves, a beautiful river, rapids, and thus up the river, where in 10,000 years the falls may eventually recede through erosion. Buffalo. For why there are no buffalo in Buffalo. The locks are big, like big baths for boats that can fill up with water and drain off depending on what way the ship is going to match up with the elevation of the next portion of the canal. As the ship sailed through the locks on the steepest part of the escarpment, Catherine told Laura she felt like a little child climbing on a kitchen table. Laura agreed. On the main deck of the boat, while Catherine and Laura were enjoying reflective tranquility, the rest of the boat was in raucous upheaval. The Birds brothers were still trying to learn the song they did not practice the night before because they were smoking and drinking, while the orchestra tried to fill in the gaps as best they could. The clockmaker Gerhard Glockenspielski was saying his prayers to his irreparable cuckoo clocks, while others around him didn't see the point. The shipmates were calculating the point in time of interception of the irate bargers. The U.S. ambassador was on the Morse code telegraph, frantically trying to explain why his superiors they were on detour from a scheduled goodwill tour, why they commandeered a foreign vessel, were currently on course to the United States to intercept an American vessel. A transcript of one of those telegraph messages. I tried to stop them. Stop. Dean Martin was too polite. Stop. I tried to insult his leathery tan. Stop. He took it as a compliment. Stop. I had to agree with his good nature. Stop. Miss Harriet thought it was the apocalypse and wondering how many boyfriends Laura and Catherine had that they were all going to croon. And where did that big boat come from? On the open waters of Lake Erie, Obama, Twain, Tesla, and Robertson eventually caught up with Boss Nasty and the East Side Hooligans barge. As their barge broke down almost in sight of Niagara River, Obama decided, seeing there's no chance to refuel in the middle of the lake, and seeing as they already made this far to send Tesla to repair the motor of Boss Nasty's barge, knowing the American Goodwill Troop would be waiting for them to greet them. Laura and Catherine were called up to the main deck and getting ready to exit the ship as the show was about to begin. They had arrived in Port Colborne on the Lake Erie side of the canal, and the barge, being pulled by men in the raft, entered the canal as well. Missy Harriet had laid down the negatively malfunctioning cuckoo clocks along the concrete banks of the canal so they would be easier for disadvantaged troubled youth from Brooklyn to hit, while Gerhard Glockenspiel pleaded one more time with Miss Harriet not to destroy the clocks because they were handcrafted originals. If Miss Harriet did, however, remove all the cuckoo birds from the clocks and told Gerhard if he learned how to make decent clocks consistently, then he should at least reuse the cuckoo bird sculptures because the birds are nice creatures. So the Birds boys lined up the orchestra behind Neil on the snare drum and the bowlers. There's also another tag along. Wally Polkinick showed up in his concertina. Wally was known in his business for eating seconds, being paid in minutiae, and playing for hours. That's Walter Osnick. Walter, I've known Walter my entire life. I was going to show him the script, but I realized he made fun of Wally. His real name is Ladislav. Just so you know, Ladislav Slovenian Ostanek from Carpenter's son in a gold mining town in Quebec. He was born in Quebec, way up there in the tundra. In the gold mining town. I saw it on Dom Lieb's site, but Walter is free now. He lived a whole life. Very fulfilling and fruitful life. Concertina. Wally was known in his business for eating seconds, being paid in minutiae, and playing for hours. He asked Neil if he could play too. Neil said it didn't matter to him. The Birds boys had also had them determined shoe shine boy. Though man, their shoes were shiny. And curious bystanders from all around arrived to ponder what this was all about. The barge pulled up. The underprivileged hooligans were ready. Laura and Catherine stood without a farthing of knowledge, seeing as they started only 2.5 days for them. It was about to begin. Sammy. Okay, catch. A 1, a 2, a 1, 2, 3, 6. Oh, this is a do 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 do. How cuckoo can one guy be? I clocked him and he clocked me. Like the fellow once said, ain't that a clock in the hand? The room was completely black. I ticked him and he talked back. Like the sailor said, quote, ain't that the goal of a boat? My gears keep spinning. I go to chirp and keep sinning. If this is just the beginning, my bird's gonna be cuckoo too. I'm moonshine enough ahead. It's like the fella said, tell me quick, ain't that a clock in the head? Like the fella once said, ain't that a clock in the... It was done. The clockmakers' remaining negatively defective cuckoo clocks were smashed. At Missy Harriet's signal, Gerhard Glockenspiel approached the barge, apologized many times for the clocks, gave each person on the barge a generous cash money refund and coupons for safe and properly working clocks, cuckoo and regular. Boss Nasty was quick to criticize. There better not be tax on these refunds. If there is any tax that you wish to protest, feel free to dump them in the water. Someone told the clockmaker if he learned how to make consistently decent cuckoo clocks, then he can make a few cheaper clocks of plywood made from the wood chips of the smashed defective clocks in their gears, and told him that even if they didn't work, they'd be better than high-quality clocks that work badly, and he said he wouldn't be so attached to them. The clockmaker liked the idea and said the idea of a completely different cuckoo clock called the Cuckoo Clockwork Orange. A clock that the clockmaker himself would climb into, and if the sensitive and delicate muscles used to make a clock work and worked properly, if those muscles were in the wrong place, well, then the sharp gears of the cuckoo clockwork orange would throw a monkey wrench into that clockmaker's schemes. They asked him, why is it so orange? It's the color of the oil in the gears. And when I come out of the machine, I am all orange like the orangutan manch. Ooh, and the color of the clock too. Miss Harriet and Laura and Catherine walked up to Laura and Catherine. You girls did a fine job, a mighty fine job. I'm proud of you. And the master in the heavens must be proud of you too. We're proud of you too, Missy Harriet. You were like our mother for our problems that aren't just inside the house. Thank you, Miss Harriet. God bless you. Thank you, two children. God bless you. And Laura, I'm sorry I got so strict with you about my chocolates. Those are my babies too, though not my real babies. That's okay, Miss Harriet. I forgive you. Thank you, Laura. May I give the Birds boys my chocolates now, in person? Sure. Laura reached into her provision bag and pulled a wooden box with gold trim and the wax seal and handed it back to Missy Harriet. Miss Harriet walked over and spoke to Dino, who she perceived as a representative. Mr. Boyd's brothers, for the great singing you performed today, I would like to give you this box of chocolates as a token of our appreciation. Why, thank you, Miss Harriet Tubman. Hey, I know you. You my mammy. Chocolate, my favorite flavor. On behalf of the Birds brothers, I would like to thank you very much. Ciao. Ciao. Hey, that's the tops. Mangs, that's the tops. Mangs, I think this calls for a Boyd's Brothers high five. A 1, a 2, a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The Birds brothers gave each other all one big high five. Hey boys, don't leave me hanging. Each Bird brother gave Harriet a big high five. Mark Twain, amongst others who had already come ashore, approached Miss Harriet. Madame, watching you from afar, I noticed you have a knack for leadership, not very common amongst ladies in the age. Well, I did hold a position working on the railroad. The railroad? Then you must have been a conductor, perhaps an engineer. May I ask what company you worked for? The Underground Railroad. How sublime! I'd be curious to sojourn upon that line. I'll be heading back as soon as some unfinished business. I could show you the route. That would be lovely, madame. Mr. Tesla approached Laura and Catherine, always cleaning and strapping tuxedos, and always a gentleman in the presence of a lady. He was carrying a long briefcase. Miss Laura, nice to finally meet you. I have a gift I've been planning to give you for your industrious hard work. You know who I am? I perhaps thought you knew who I was. Pardon? This is for you, or perhaps someone else for you. Mr. Tesla unlatched a long briefcase and revealed a strange guitar. It was a metallic with odd dials and wires. It doesn't work yet, but when the right outlets foresee themselves, it should still be in perfect working condition. My young friend Albert helped me to deduce some of the theory. Who is Albert? But I don't play guitar. Yet doesn't every beautiful bird sing? Pardon? It was a pleasure to finally meet you, Laura. And Catherine, it's always to be in the pleasure of women of such grace. It's always a pleasure to be with women of such grace. As well to you, Mr. Tesla. Laura looked at Catherine and realized she had encountered some odd fellows and strange endeavors as well. Mr. Tuss walked right to the edge of the canal and stared serenely into the water. Such a mysterious man. Maybe Catherine would tell her more, or perhaps she is still perplexed as she was. What was Laura to do with this? When she was bored, she filled an old snare drum that belonged to her grandfather during the war, time though though to play guitar was not her forte. She turned her keen ear towards the Bird Brothers Orchestra where they were performing. She heard a snare drum, a melodeon of some sort, another strange sound that thought was a guitar, yet still not quite. She turned to see a drummer playing with bulrushes, a happy man with a melodeon, laid a man for the raft of the guitar, a young lady probably about her age, with strange thick knotted braided hair. And the way she played, she laid her guitar on her lap with a metal cylinder dragged across the length of her guitar and picked strings with strange rings on her fingers. Laura watched her for a few seconds and picked up the case Mr. Tesla had given her. Well, Catherine watched as Laura walked over to the girl playing the guitar and spoke to her while looking her in the eyes. The girl nodded and gave Laura the case and then a hug and walked back to Catherine. I met some odd fellows on my trip as well, Catherine. That's Christine Bougie. There's a story behind this. I was not really an acquaintance even with Christine Bougie, but she shared a few classes with me in high school before she transferred from music to a different school. But she was a professional slide guitarist. She even played for the Black Eyed Peas back when I was doing well in Toronto too. She toured with them as a slide guitarist. I always wanted to ask her. I saw her once performing with my cup of coffee with the Animation Studios band, Ugly Lovers. Some of them were animate from the studio, and they knew Christine Bougie. And I wanted to ask her about the propaganda I posted in grade 10 religion class, the anti-rock and roll propaganda. And I tried to ask the one lady, but there was no help. That knew her, and I worked with. They just felt really bad about it. We want to know what Christine Bougie thought about the anti-rock and roll propaganda when the religion teacher was away for surgery, and the replacement supply teacher did not care that I was posting anti-rock and roll propaganda, swinging hips and like friends don't let friends rock and roll. I don't know. Maybe I'll see her again and ask her. This is so funny. I put her in here. Mr. Tesla's now busying himself on the motor of the new Amsterdamers barge. Boss Nasty was sitting on a bench on the canal eating a sandwich, and the East Side hoodlums had stolen for him. The hoodlums had stolen so many provisions from the local merchants of Port Colborne. A couple of boys went looking for fuel for their barge. Although Boss Nasty had seen Tessa meddle with the motor of his barge the whole time, he waited until he finished the sandwich to start yelling at him. "Hey, what the hell are you doing to my barge?" "I tightened some of the loose connections and made a few personal modifications that should increase the performance of your motor by 20%. "Oh yeah? Well, I'm going to charge you extra for that." "Don't worry. I've increased the charge too." "What?" The charge, electrical charge, not the charge of how much his labor is. And he's doing the work. He's charging him for manipulating his boat without his permission. Mr. Obama, being some sort of government official, was in discussion with U.S. Ambassador to Canada, as Kim Gordon, with the intent to travel with the Birds for the remainder of their goodwill tour, but was approached by a spank on the patoots and a giggle from Miss Harriet, an unexpected, spontaneous moment. The East Side hooligans returned with fuel for the barge, enough supplies lasted for a few days. The boys approached Mr. Nasty nervously, and the leader of the boys, with a hat in hand, asked him a question. "Mr. Nasty, me and the boys was wondering, if it ain't that much trouble, that you just order us to start hitting each other with them baseball bats again? We just wondering if you're gonna look at them both flooves them kooky guys was talking about." "Sure, whatever. You're the boss." "I'm the boss?" Yeah, sure. All I do is crap myself anyways. Better off in charge of my own buttonhole. Gee, Mr. Nasty, you mean it? Yeah. And you won't tell us to shut up anymore? Yeah. And now we can tell you to shut up? Only when I crap my pants. Me and the boys don't have to be hitting each other with the bats if we derelict in our duties? No, you should probably keep doing that. I'm not going to do that for you. Oh, gee, that's swell, Mr. Nasty. That's real swell. So we can check out them both fluids then. Yeah, just make sure we pull over a crap once in a while. Gee, Mr. Nasty, that's swell. God bless you. Yeah. So Mr. Nasty and the East Side Hooligans said sail first, and everyone wished them well. Well, not so well at Mr. Nasty. The Democratic majority of the barge wished well. So they set off to see the greatest wonders of America, them's bow flues. Miss Harriet gave each boy a big wet kiss, just like the good old ma, and to each one a box of their homemade chocolates. They were all embarrassing because of an old Negro lady, though they thanked her just as well. Robbie Robertson also said farewell to the boys just before they set away. Hey, I saw you guys up at bat. You're pretty aggressive. Did you ever consider playing music instead? Aw, come on, mister. Music's for goyles. One boy named Danny seemed really interested, though he held back after Muggs' comment. We was only taking orders from a coach. Honest Injun. Crap for nothing, coach. Don't worry, sir. When we're up at bat, we aim to be mighty friendly. Well then, shalom. Shalom! It was November and the winter was getting colder, so I was eager to go back into the tall ship. There were singing, crooning, laughs, drinks, sighs, swigs, smokes, and most of the legends of the Goodwill show were told that on that boat. Legends were told on that boat. Catherine and Laura were made the guests of honor, though they felt like hostesses of a royal court. Never had they seen so remotely the presence of such singers, musicians, suffragettes, inventors, writers, politicians, adventurers, chefs, sailors. Ooh, be careful on the sailors. What time is it? I'm gonna stop it right there. That was the climax, and this is the denouement. So we'll get to all that stuff later. That's part 3. I'll probably record it later tomorrow or something. But yeah, I got to get the cuckoo clock on the back explained for September 29th for that new holiday. No, it's not a holiday. It's a day of remembrance and truth and reconciliation over the Native residential schools. All right, I'll talk to you later. Okay, Kerfuffle 1902, part 3. Bye.